Hi guys, and welcome to another quick video about the GoPro Hero 11. Now in this video I want to be testing the sharpness settings, and there's three sharpness settings: low, medium and high, and I want to see how well they affect the picture in terms of the actual picture quality. Do they actually affect it a lot or not very much? Alright, let's do a quick test video in this little local park and see how we get on. So the very first test is in low sharpness. Let's do it. So this is a low sharpness, and I'm just going to basically have a look at a few very exciting branches just to see how well the definition of the branches is picked up with low sharpness, especially against the sky, because often we get like JPEG artifacts and stuff like that. Just going to move it down and see how we get on there. Okay, so the next test is with the sharpness set to medium. And the final test is with sharpness at set to maximum. Let's find out how it works. Okay guys, what do you think? Well, I won't know until I get back home to have a look at the results, whether there's any difference between the three sharpness settings and how well the actual quality of the picture changes or not. Let's now have a look at the differences between the low, medium and high sharpness. So first of all, the low sharpness, and we can see there seems to be a little bit of a lack of definition of the branches against the blue sky. I mean, it's not bad by any stretch of the imagination, but it's also not perfect, and I guess there's a little bit of a lack of contrast by the low sharpness. I don't know if you noticed the little tennis ball that's in the bush here, so some poor little doggy in the park has lost its tennis ball, so that distracted me somewhat while looking back at the footage. Anyway, let's now look at the medium sharpness, and we can see that the contrast of the actual branches against the sky is certainly more improved over the low sharpness, and there seems to be more definition of the bark, for example, against a tree. If you compare that to the high sharpness, once again it's even more of an improvement, perhaps a little bit erring on this, maybe a little bit over sharp in my opinion, but you can certainly see very clear details of the branches against the sky. Now, I don't know what you guys think, but if it's me, I would think that the high sharpness is a little bit overbearing compared to the medium sharpness. Let's now look at the other footage of the sharpness in a different location. Let's now have a look at the low sharpness settings in this second location, and we can see that the overall picture quality I think is pretty good. It's not outstanding, but it's acceptable. If we have a look at the actual definition of the stone by the wall here, we can see that it's a little bit lack of contrasty slightly, but again, overall, I think it's pretty good. If we have a look at where the walls touch the sky right at the very back of the scene, you can see that there's a little bit of, I guess, artifacts of the actual wall against the sky. It's not super sharp, certainly there, but of course that's in the distance, so it's not to be expected. And looking at the grass at the back here, it seems a little bit that the blades are blurring together, so that's once again not to be expected in the low sharpness setting. Let's now have a look at the medium sharpness. And now let's have a look at the medium sharpness at this second location. So we can immediately see quite a big improvement over the low sharpness. Well, that's no surprising there. If we have a look at the actual individual stones, there's quite a lot of contrast. We can even see some little marks against each individual stone, little chip marks and things like that. So that's being picked up a lot better in the medium sharpness. If we have a look at where the walls are touch the sky, right at the back of the scene, we can clearly see now there is quite a better definition and contrast against the actual sky, where there's no sort of blurring of the lines. It's quite defined, so that's certainly an improvement. And looking at the grass, we do have some blurring of the grass at the back of the room. Well, it is in the distance, so there's no surprise there, but we can quite clearly now see in the foreground the patches of mud and the individual grasses is clearly sticking out a lot more than compared to low sharpness. Now let's have a look at the high sharpness in the second location. So the high sharpness in the second location, once again, we can actually see a lot of detail now with the individual stones above the arch in particular. So the quality of the picture from the little GoPro camera is certainly pretty good. If we have a look at where the sky touches the building at the back, once again, there's a quite clear definition between the two, between the stones and the sky. Whether the actual picture is a massive improvement over the medium sharpness, I'm not totally convinced. Maybe there is an improvement, but it doesn't exactly look a very stark contrast between the medium and high. Whether it's worth the extra file size, I'm not sure, but I'll let you be the judge of that. So let me know in the comments if you think the high is considerably better than the medium sharpness. We can clearly see now, looking at the grass, a lot of definition of the individual grass blades and lots of leaves and things like that on the ground. So let's now move on to the conclusion. We can clearly see some differences between the low and medium sharpness. If I was actually making a GoPro video, I would probably pick either the medium or the high sharpness, depending on the situation. When you've got a situation like a building like this and you really want to see the detail, then perhaps go for the high sharpness. Like for example, like leaves on a tree or branches is going to certainly benefit for having the high sharpness to have no blurring against the sky. If you're moving for fast moving objects, then I would probably go for either medium or even low. There's probably not huge differences between those two when you don't have details to show. Make your own minds up what sharpness is appropriate for the particular scene that you're making a video of. Alright guys, thanks very much for watching. If you find this video useful, then please subscribe and I shall see you soon.